Right, Garry, congratulations on the win.
Thank you
When I
so
spoke
much.
to you in the week, you said you didn't really want to go the full 3 rounds. Your fight barely started. So I imagine you must be pretty happy.
Yeah, very happy. I kept saying like it went better than I thought it was going to go. I didn't think I was going to get the submission quite so quickly. Of course, the way I train, it's always a possibility. It could end the fight at any moment if I'm able to bring it to the ground. I'm very confident in my grappling abilities. However, you know, when I mentally bring myself through a fight, I never quite think. I think positively, but I don't ever quite think. I don't think naively. You know, I don't just think I'm going to walk into the cage or ring and just you know, obliterate all my opponents. I think that's a kind of, I wouldn't say negative way of thinking. I would say it's a dangerous way of thinking, because then when you're confronted with adversity, it's a little bit more scary. So every time I go into the cage or the ring, I always mentally prep myself and visualize myself getting put in very bad positions, getting hit hard, getting put down, struggling through things, and then eventually coming out and beating my opponent. That's the visualization process that I go through before all my fights. So I kind of, no matter who I'm fighting, I kind of put myself through that, and I say to myself that that's kind of what's going to happen. So that's why I say it kind of went better than I thought it was, because mentally this whole time I'm like, all right, you know, I'm going to take a couple of tough right hands as I'm trying to evade, and I'm going to get in this takedown. And it turns out that I was able to manage to avoid all the strikes, land a couple of my own, and then take my opponent down and submit him very efficiently. It ended up happening that way, and I'm very happy for it. I prefer not to get hurt. You know, I can't hope for anything more than that. I think it looked very Paul Harris-esque, you know, just get in on a leg, finish right away, you know, devastating breaking power, and you know, I'm excited to show that kind of jiu-jitsu out there, because I think that's what I'm capable of, and I think that's what I want to bring to the table from mixed martial arts for sure.
How happy were you with the actual finish? Because from ringside, it looks so slick. And then just the comments that came flying up on Twitter were like, Garry's a bad man. So imagine you must be ecstatic with the finish.
Yeah, very, very happy with the finish. It's something I drill a lot, you know, kind of getting in on the takedown. It was a little bit of an awkward takedown at first when I picked up the single. Didn't feel like super comfortable just trying to finish the takedown. So I was like, you know what, legs are on the inside, time to go for a leg lock. So I sat down. You know what's funny? There was an interview that I gave at one point. I don't know if it was for you guys. I don't think it was. Then they were asking me about guard pulling in MMA, and whether I thought guard pulling was effective. And I told them, I said, guard pulling can be effective in MMA, and I'm going to show you guys how it can be effective. This is how you pull guard in MMA. You pick up a leg, you sit back for an ashigarami, and you break somebody. That's how guard pulling can be effective in MMA. Not like just sitting to your back or, you know, just jumping into a full guard. I mean, this is offensive. This is an attack. That was an assault on my opponent. That wasn't sitting to my back and like chilling, you know, or trying to lock up something defensive. That's how you use jiu-jitsu, you know, falling backwards to your back in an aggressive way in a mixed martial arts situation. And I think Paul Harris has shown that to people, but I think people forgot. It's been a while since he's been at the forefront of MMA, so I'm here to remind everybody.
Now, you mentioned afterwards about maybe a title challenge next.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably couldn't argue with that after that performance. How big a statement was that you've just made?
I think it was a big statement. I don't think people are going to realize, at least in the States. I think the Asian audience probably knows Yoshiki, and they probably know that he's a very devastating mixed martial artist. Drops a lot of people, puts a lot of people away, doesn't get finished. And I think out here, I think people know him, and I think they know that he's a very tough challenger and a tough judo background as well. So he's just harder to put down. Maybe people in the States don't necessarily understand that, but I mean, this is a guy that was 12-4, and all 4 losses were just decision losses. So that was a huge step up, and especially to be able to put him away in a dominant fashion, I think that's a big statement to make. I think what I said out there, which was that I'm no longer a prospect in MMA, there's a lot of truth to those words, and maybe there's some people out there that would argue that, but hey, let's put the next best guy in front of me and let's find out. Let's do this.
I don't think you've called out a name before, but if you don't get a title shot, is there a particular name you want? Well, not so much for the person, but just for the fact you think, right, if I beat them, I've got to get a title shot.
I don't know who I don't know who they want me to beat that would give them that impression, but they'll tell me. I have a lot of confidence in one championship. They've done me well. They've stepped me up level by level, opponent by opponent. This was a huge step, I think, from the previous opponent, and from all 4 of my opponents compared to this one. I think this was a game changer. So they haven't let me down yet in terms of finding me a worthy opponent to raise the bar. Right? As long as they're raising the bar, I'm happy. If you keep going undefeated and you keep being an exciting fighter inside and outside of the ring, you're not going to be denied a title shot. Eventually, it's going to happen. I'm not worried about it. I'm 27 years old. It's going to happen soon. Whatever they think is right, I'm ready for it. Like I said, put that next guy in front of me and let's do this.
Your mum wasn't in the audience screaming throughout the whole fight this time. Was she being back at home screaming to the TV?
Yeah. I'm sure she's kicking herself, and then she wishes she could be here, as all my family I think wishes they could be. She came out to support me for I think all my fights except for this one so far, and she means a lot to me, man. She's a big part of why I am who I am and who I am as a person, and I might not give her as much credit as she deserves, but she raised me, man. She was with me every step of the way, and she did her absolute best, and most of the time it was by herself, and I really appreciate that. I always tell people I was raised by women, and that's the one. Her and my sister, really. I'm sure she's overjoyed and excited, if she's awake right now anyway.
I hope she gets to watch this. Lastly, you've got a stacked card. You're going to go and weigh now and watch some fights? If so, any particular ones you're looking forward to?
Man, I'm most of the kickboxing fights. As a mixed martial artist and someone that's not particularly great at the stand-up yet. I'm trying as best as I can. I'm always looking at those guys that are so much better than me in these other areas. So it's very appealing to me to watch these extremely high-level kickboxers. Giorgio's fight is going to be very exciting to me. Smoking Joe and all these guys that are fighting, I'm very, very ecstatic. And Sage Northcutt as well. I think that'll just be exciting because this is his debut performance. I'm looking forward to the rest of the card. Every time I go to one of these fights, I always want to stay and watch everybody else. They put on such amazing cards, man. They really do. They're stacked. I don't know how many people that are watching that follow me, listening to this, follow kickboxing and stuff. But guys, look up these names. These guys are killers. These are the best of the best that they got out there fighting. You may not know because they're in a different martial art, but man, it's amazing what they're doing out here.
They are killers. The One Super Series has been amazing.
Yeah.
Well, go and enjoy.
Thank you.
Congratulations again.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Good to talk to you again.
Thank you.